gets the latest dose of a flashy prospect and proven warriors as we start this evening with one of the emerging characters of the fight game. The unbeaten Paulie Malignaggi takes on tough Kevin Watts. 22-year-old Paulie Malignaggi goes by the nickname Magic Man. However, his opponents and some fans, they would have other choice names for the Brooklyn fighter. His flashy boxing has led him to a 13-0 record with 4 knockouts his last 5. Plenty of airtime with us. Paul suffered torn ligaments in his right hand while getting through that split decision win over Paul Delgado last November. And there's 32-year-old Kevin Watts, originally from South Boston, been living and training out of Florida for 6 years. He's 18-2 with 7 knockouts. His last 5 shows a couple of recent TKO wins. Prior to that, he lost a 10-round decision last summer. Now Watts takes his biggest step up and facing this guy, Paulie Malignaggi, and we just saw him on our Tuesday night series this past June 3rd. That's when Paul displayed superior skills, crowd-dividing abilities, and dominating Shad Howard. It was on that night when at one point his in-the-ring arrogance was put right back in his face with the attempted Bovo punch. Still, he knows that the flashy style is what he is all about. His opponents know it too, and they're dealing with it head-on in their own way.
What it is a lot of these opponents, they feel they have to talk garbage when they fight with me because I'm the flashiest fighter out there nowadays, you know. And so this guy's coming to bring it. He's talking all this. He's gonna bring it. I'm in for a vicious fight. And I don't see it that way. You know, my game plan is going to be basically to just box him, use my boxing skills. I mean, I got more speed than anybody in this game, and you know, we're just going to show it to him tonight that he's not on that level. He's not on the Paulie Malignaggi level. The Magic Man's going to take it right to him tonight, but with smart boxing.
I'm more focused on fighting, and if he wants to jump around, yell, scream, fix his hair, do whatever he wants to do, I'm there to fight, and that's what I'm going to do. Come forward and just fight.
And here is Paulie Malignaggi, the unbeaten prospect from Brooklyn. Doesn't want to lose any rounds. He says a clean sweep, showing his hand speed and boxing skills. That's what a good night will be for him. And you can hear the crowd as Kevin Watts, cocky Kevin Watts, still being introduced from South Boston, Mass, and a favorite here in New England. Joe LaPlante, your referee. They're scheduled for 10.
Gentlemen, back up, Paulie. Times. Protect. Any questions from the blue corner? Any questions from the red? Touch him. Paulie, touch him.
Teddy Atlas, Kevin Watts has no concerns with Paulie Malignaggi's style. He said, I'll show him that I'm a bull. I will show him that on this night, he's going to be in a man's world.
Well, he's going to be in a speed world. He better be ready for that speed tunnel. That speed tunnel goes by the name of Malignaggi. He's got quickness, puts punches together. Best asset is that pure speed from Malignaggi. One thing he's missing is the power. Every once in a while, Malignaggi will break the rules because of that great asset of speed. A lot of guys that have natural speed, they will break some of the fundamental rules. They will reach in from too far away, figure they're so quick, they can get in there and score before you can take advantage of it. But when you reach in from too far away, every once in a while, there's somebody sitting in the lurch, waiting to time you as you come in from too far away and nail you a clean shot. Let's see if Watts can do that. Remember, timing can nullify speed.
Malignaggi showing off that jab early on here in round number 1. Kevin Watts has faced very limited opposition in his ride to 18 wins. His last 5 opponents, their winning percentage combined to be in the 40s. Step up for him, jab, sticking it right there from Malignaggi.
Malignaggi changes distance pretty good. That's one of his lines of defense. And also to set up our offense. He uses his legs. He'll step out, hope to make you miss a little bit, and then counter. Every once in a while, Watts will reach in a little bit, not negotiate the distance right, not work his way in. And if he reaches in, Malignaggi takes that step back at the right time. He's going to get a hole. If Malignaggi has a hole, he's going to fill it with punches. And And that's what he's trying to do right now, Joe. He's trying to use his leg, Malignaggi, the undefeated kid. He's trying to use his legs to step out, create that. Exactly that. Room to counter.
Landed the left hand there, finding his range.
There's one problem when you primarily are dependent on your legs for defense and to set up offense. Sometimes you go straight back. Sees an opponent, if he gets the right distance, he can step with you and he can time you. As you step back, he's with you, and you can be vulnerable. You can be straight up. Every once in a while, Malignaggi does that. He has to be careful. Also, you can be predictable using your legs all the time. The old timers would say, let's have a couple different ways, not just your legs. Let's move your head sometimes. Let's block sometimes. Because there are 3 lines of defense: blocking, moving your head, and as we already said, Malignaggi likes to use the legs.
For nearly 40 jabs in the first 2 minutes of round number 1 did Malignaggi.
So far, Watts, too slow. Not able to negotiate his way in. Doesn't know how to get in that front door. Hasn't selected a key yet.
There's the bell. That's the end of round 1.
ESPN2 Friday Night Fights.
And when he was reaching in, he was getting counted. And that makes you tentative. That makes you think twice about being aggressive or cocky.
Punches in round 1, 58-30, a 17-3 edge for the undefeated Paulie Malignaggi. Back to that jab early on here in round number 2. Had success with it in the first round.
You know, I'll take a second to say, you can talk all you want about cockiness and arrogance of this young kid Malignaggi, but I've been able to talk to him in person. He's a nice kid.
That's one of the things with Paulie Malignaggi, Teddy, is that if you only know him from watching him in the ring and the bolo punches and the showmanship and sometimes showing off right in front of his opponent's face, you would never know what he's like outside the ring. But we asked him about that, and he said, you know what? I have a certain anger and a fear of losing, and that's what I'm communicating sometimes when I do that showboating, is that I have no desire to ever lose, and that arrogance comes through his anger.
He puts new meaning to game face, you know. Doesn't have to be Sonny Liston. It doesn't have to be, you know, scowls and mean, and that kind of attitude. Malignaggi does it in a much different way, a cocky, but a go-lucky way. Right now, Malignaggi using distance, using the jab, using the speed. He wants distance, Malignaggi, because you can exploit your speed better at distance, because there's more room for your opponent to make a mistake, and you can beat him to the punch. In close, you can't take advantage of that speed quite as much. The guy can get physical. He's closer. Not as much room for the punches to travel. Take that advantage of speed away a little bit on the inside. Watts better start thinking about going downstairs to the body. We just said it early in the fight. Malignaggi likes to use those legs. Watts better start getting a plan to take those legs away. Watts 10 years the younger, or the 10 years the senior of the younger 22-year-old Malignaggi. Watts 32 years old.
Watts got a late start, started at 23 years old. Says he's not a beat-up 32-year-old. Looks at himself as still a fresh guy. Good stiff left hand from Paulie Malignaggi.
Malignaggi doing it mostly on the counter side. They use a jab to stymie you a little bit and to set things up. If you stay out there and cooperate with him, he's going to pick you apart. He's going to tattoo you with the jab. But then if he gets you a little angry, which is what he wants to do with Watts, gets you a little anxious, he can step out, get a lot of his offense on the counter.
The Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom, our annual visit. Friday Night Fights on the New Hampshire shoreline. Round number 3, Paulie Malignaggi and Kevin Watts. The jabs through 2 rounds, 108 thrown, a 32-3 advantage for the unbeaten Brooklyn fighters.
Watts been looking for one big shot to slow down Malignaggi. That's the wrong way to go. Because you're going to be looking all night for that one big shot. Malignaggi's going to do that. going to skate right out. See it coming. I believe Watts needs to start getting that jab going. I'm not going to say he's going to out-jab Malignaggi.
Hey, whoa. Go hit in the back of the head. Go hit in the back of the head.
Taking charge, giving a warning to Malignaggi for a little rapid punching. Malignaggi not going to touch gloves.
And there always comes that point. There always comes that point in a Paul Malignaggi fight where the opponent starts to react to what Malignaggi is doing and that flashiness and that style. Sometimes it works for Paul, sometimes it doesn't.
Watts has to start using that jab. Like I said, he doesn't have to out-jab or outspeed Malignaggi with the jab. He just has to keep Malignaggi honest and not let him have a picnic with his own left hand and not have to respect anything coming back at him. He's got to start to negate the jab of Malignaggi. See, that time Watts tried to time Malignaggi coming in. Every once in a while, Malignaggi will give you something on the platter. They reach in here, break the rules because of that speed. You got to be ready to pull the trigger and nail him as he's reaching in. Right now, Malignaggi's just taking what's given him, the jab. He's looking for Watts. I believe if I was in his head right now, he's looking for Watts to bite down. What I mean by that is to commit to something where he leaves himself open. Other than that, Malignaggi's going to be satisfied with the jab. Unless he gets Watts to get a little angry and reach in. Then Malignaggi's going to look like there to throw a counter hook or something. No body work from Watts, Joe. You'd expect the corner to start to get on that. See, one advantage Watts might have, he's been a little bit bigger his entire career between junior welterweight and welterweight. Malignaggi's still growing, still filling out, but he turned pro as a lightweight. His first 7 fights, and then he moved up to junior welterweight. So Watts, the bigger guy, you can see the more mature guy, maybe the stronger guy, but he's not using that if he's not close. And if he's not going to the body, he's not going to get close. That size of Watts is not going to help him outside with a quick whip, snapping jabs at him, and not having to worry about his physical advantage.
And here we go.
Watts needs to use that jab. I'm telling you, he needs to use his own jab instead of just looking for big shots.